In the landscape of American megachurches, few institutions command as much attention, admiration, and influence as the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas. Under the leadership of Bishop T.D.Jakes, the church has transformed from a local congregation into a global spiritual movement. Over the past few decades, it has become a beacon for those seeking hope, healing, and purpose, offering a place where the broken, the disillusioned, and the weary can encounter the transformative power of faith. The church's vast reach, through in-person services, digital broadcasts, publications, and conferences, has positioned it as one of the most significant religious platforms of the 21st century. Bishop Jakes' ability to merge timeless biblical teaching with culturally resonant messages has not only grown a congregation but cultivated a worldwide following spanning continents, cultures, and generations. Silent exit, powerful impact. The departure of Pastor Joel Tudman from the Potter's House. Yet, in the midst of this expansive ministry, a surprising development recently captured the attention of the religious world. The quiet departure of Pastor Joel Tudman, one of the Potter's House's rising stars. Unlike many pastoral transitions that are accompanied by celebratory send-offs or strategic announcements, Tudman's exit was understated, almost imperceptible to those outside the inner circle. There was no formal farewell sermon, no official press release, and no fanfare. For a church that thrives on engagement, storytelling, and connection, this absence was remarkable and immediately sparked speculation, concern, and curiosity among members, online followers, and the broader Christian community. The gravity of Tudman's departure cannot be overstated. This was not a routine personnel change. It was the exit of a leader whose influence had grown in both visibility and substance, someone whose voice had become a defining element of the ministry's identity, particularly for younger members and online audiences. Tudman's presence on the pulpit was magnetic. His sermons blended raw authenticity with theological depth, bridging generational divides and resonating with those who often felt alienated by traditional church structures. To understand why this moment was so significant, it is necessary to explore who Pastor Tudman is, how he rose within the ministry, and why his departure is emblematic of broader challenges and opportunities in modern church leadership. Pastor Joel Tudman, a voice of the next generation. Joel Tudman was not just another associate pastor at the Potter's House. He was a leader whose ministry uniquely connected with younger congregants and digital audiences. Unlike traditional clergy, whose authority derives primarily from tenure or theological scholarship, Tudman's credibility emerged through authenticity, relatability, and practical insight. His preaching style was marked by an emotional intensity that drew listeners in from the very first sentence. He addressed contemporary struggles, mental health, anxiety, identity, racial tension, and the pressures of modern life, without sacrificing biblical grounding. In a church as large as the Potter's House, where the grandeur of the facility, the scale of services, and the vastness of the congregation could sometimes render individuals anonymous, Tudman's presence offered intimacy. He made parishioners feel seen, heard, and understood. Tudman's journey to prominence within the church was not accidental. He brought a unique combination of spiritual depth, leadership experience, and media savvy to the ministry. Before joining the Potter's House, he had cultivated a platform as a motivational speaker and mentor, working with young adults, athletes, and community leaders. He understood how to communicate across generational lines and digital mediums, whether on social media, podcasts, or conferences. This ability to translate theological principles into culturally relevant guidance made him a natural bridge between the church's traditional base and emerging audiences who sought a faith that felt applicable to their daily lives. Many within the congregation viewed Tudman as not merely a pastoral colleague, but a spiritual heir, someone groomed to carry the vision of the Potter's House forward. His rise mirrored Bishop Jakes' own ascent decades earlier, a combination of charisma, intellect, and divine calling that resonated with the hearts of the people. For observers, Tudman embodied a rare balance. He was simultaneously relatable and authoritative, dynamic yet grounded, youthful yet seasoned. In a ministry that places significant emphasis on legacy, leadership development, and succession, Tudman's trajectory positioned him as a central figure in the church's long-term vision. The silence that prompted questions. Despite Tudman's prominence, his departure was anything but public. Over weeks and months, members and followers noticed subtle but telling signs. Tudman's absence from key services, the omission of his name from promotional materials, and a noticeable reduction in his digital presence connected to the church. His social media platforms, which had once amplified sermons and ministry updates, began reflecting personal projects more than institutional affiliation. The lack of official communication created a vacuum, and in that vacuum, speculation flourished. Silence in a ministry environment, especially one as high-profile as the Potter's House, can be interpreted in multiple ways. Some wondered whether Tudman had resigned voluntarily. Others questioned if internal conflicts or strategic disagreements had prompted his departure. Rumors ranged from the plausible, plans for independent ministry, reassignment, or sabbatical, to the dramatic, power struggles, disputes over doctrine, or personality clashes. The absence of transparency intensified curiosity, placing Bishop Jakes in a delicate position. In the world of megachurch leadership, silence can be both a protective measure and a potential catalyst for misunderstanding. Bishop T.D.Jakes' response. Framing transition with grace. When Bishop Jakes eventually addressed Tudman's departure, he did so not with defensiveness or sensationalism, but with measured clarity and pastoral sensitivity. He acknowledged Tudman's contributions, highlighting the unique impact of his preaching, mentorship, and ability to connect with audiences. Jakes framed the exit as a transition, emphasizing the natural flow of leadership and calling within the kingdom. Seasons change, he noted, and sometimes God calls his servants to new assignments. By doing so, he shifted the narrative from controversy to opportunity, protecting both the institution and Tudman while providing the congregation with spiritual guidance and perspective. This response exemplifies mature leadership. It underscored a crucial principle in organizational and spiritual life. Releasing a leader is as important as raising them. By publicly affirming Tudman's work and blessing his next steps, Jakes demonstrated a model of leadership that values purpose over possession, legacy over ego, and grace over control. The statement subtly reassured congregants that the departure did not signify a breakdown within the ministry, but rather reflected the natural evolution of leadership and calling. Leadership transition, challenges and opportunities. Tudman's exit illuminates the complex realities of leadership succession in megachurches. Large ministries often operate as both spiritual and organizational ecosystems, where influence, culture, and operational systems intersect. The rise of younger leaders presents opportunities to innovate, diversify, and connect with evolving audiences. Yet it also raises questions. How do established leaders release power without destabilizing the institution? How do congregations adapt to new voices while maintaining continuity? How can ministries foster growth while protecting both organizational integrity and spiritual health? Transitions of this nature are rarely smooth. They involve negotiation between personal calling and institutional needs, emotional attachment and strategic foresight, legacy preservation, and generational innovation. In Tudman's case, the departure reflects the tension between an individual's spiritual assignment and the structural rhythms of a long-standing ministry. It serves as a case study in how influential churches navigate succession while balancing transparency, pastoral care, and strategic vision. Implications for the church at large beyond the Potter's House. Tudman's departure offers lessons for the broader Christian landscape. In an era where megachurches wield influence through media, social platforms, and global outreach, leadership transitions are increasingly public and scrutinized. They reveal the delicate interplay between personal vocation and organizational expectation. For emerging leaders, Tudman's journey highlights the importance of discernment, readiness to step into independent calling, and the capacity to navigate institutional dynamics with wisdom. For established leaders, it reinforces the spiritual and practical necessity of mentorship, succession planning, and the grace to release emerging talent without ego interference. Looking ahead, the next chapter. A deeper exploration. Pastor Joel Tudman's departure from the Potter's House marks not a conclusion but a pivotal transition in a journey that has been defined by dedication, spiritual insight, and a deep connection to both the congregation and the broader faith community. Tudman leaves behind a ministry shaped under the guidance of Bishop T.D.Jakes, a leader whose mentorship has been instrumental in nurturing his preaching, pastoral skills, and public influence. The credibility and spiritual authority Tudman has earned are not erased by this move. Rather, they serve as a foundation upon which he can build new avenues of impact. This transition represents an opportunity for him to explore fresh expressions of ministry, to reach audiences beyond the traditional megachurch model, and to engage with the next generation of believers in innovative ways. The potential paths Tudman may pursue are varied and significant. Church planting is a natural extension of his calling, allowing him to establish a ministry that reflects his unique voice, vision, and approach to pastoral care. Such an endeavor would enable him to craft a spiritual environment tailored to contemporary challenges, engaging younger demographics, addressing modern cultural questions, and cultivating a community that values authenticity, accountability, and relevance. Beyond the pulpit, digital media presents an expansive platform. Podcasts, online sermons, social media, and digital workshops offer opportunities to connect with millions worldwide, reaching those who may never walk through a physical church door. These mediums allow Tudman to extend his influence, communicate the gospel creatively, and provide mentorship to individuals navigating personal, spiritual, or social struggles. Authorship represents another avenue for Tudman to leave an enduring mark. Writing books, whether focused on theology, leadership, personal growth, or cultural engagement, would allow him to articulate his vision in depth and provide a resource for those seeking guidance outside the constraints of weekly services. Similarly, mentoring emerging leaders could become a central focus, enabling him to equip others for ministry while fostering a culture of preparation, humility, and long-term spiritual growth. In all of these potential endeavors, Tudman carries forward not only his skills, but also the relational capital built under Bishop Jakes' tutelage, a legacy of trust and recognition that amplifies the impact of his next steps. For Bishop T.D.Jakes, Tudman's departure reinforces a fundamental truth about leadership. Influence is measured not by retention, but by the ability to equip, release, and trust that God's purpose unfolds through seasons of transition. This principle emphasizes the importance of mentoring leaders with vision and integrity, recognizing that their callings may extend beyond existing structures. By honoring Tudman's exit with grace and affirmation, Jakes models a posture of spiritual maturity, showing that true leadership is rooted in empowering others rather than clinging to authority. For congregants and observers alike, this moment provides a profound lesson in faith, patience, and spiritual discernment. It challenges traditional notions of loyalty, reminding believers that institutional attachment is secondary to the unfolding of God's purposes. Transitions, while sometimes disorienting, offer opportunities for growth, reflection, and the cultivation of resilience. The departure of a prominent leader like Tudman invites communities to embrace change, celebrate legacy, and recognize that the kingdom's work is larger than any one individual or ministry. Conclusion: transition as a testament to kingdom rhythm. The departure of Pastor Joel Tudman from the Potter's House is emblematic of the broader dynamics of leadership, legacy, and spiritual calling. It highlights the realities of modern ministry, where personal vocation, institutional priorities, and generational shifts intersect. It also affirms a key truth, that the health of a ministry is measured not solely by retention, but by its capacity to recognize, nurture, and release leaders in alignment with divine purpose. In the end, this is not a story of scandal, loss, or disruption. It is a story of growth, faith, and kingdom alignment. A narrative that underscores the importance of transitions in shaping both individual callings and institutional legacies. Bishop T.D.Jakes and Pastor Joel Tudman, through their respective roles in this moment, model how grace, discernment, and strategic vision can transform change into opportunity, demonstrating that the church, at its best, is not static. It is alive, evolving, and responsive to God's call in every season.